Hello again. We're back for the second part. It's only going to be a two-part of this. And in this episode, I guess, we are going to fix the material and decimate the leaves. And we're going to add a new material to this stem and then decimate that and all. So let's start with hiding the leaves, and then I'm just going to turn off the particle system. You've probably already deleted it. I've done this tutorial a few times. And what I want with the stem is for it to be more yellow coming out of the tree, and then the further down the stem it goes, it gets greener. And there's several ways to do that. It's a gradient, obviously, so you could just use gradient texture. But I find that annoying because then I've got to fiddle about with lots of mapping and things to get it to go the right way. So I do it differently, and I do this regularly. I will add a wave texture, put in a color ramp. I'm going to tell you what I need, what you need, but I'm going to do it with my quick menu, I think. So yeah, drop that in, and then you want a texture coordinate, which is in input texture coordinate, and then object vector. We're using object mapping, and let's just control shift click this and see this, which is expected. So I want them horizontal bands, so I'm going to put that to Z, and then I just want basically one of these black lines to go from here into the white. So we just need to take the scale right down to 0.02, maybe. Let's see, and then just use the phase offset to move it up and down. Okay, I'm going to go scale 0.01. And I want it fully black at the bottom, right there. I could add a bit more black, but we'll see. And we're going to use this as a kind of mask. It's going to just differentiate the colors depending on this mask here. So if we add a Shift A color, mix color, and put the bottom one as the green from here, and then just make this, for now, make it really obviously hot pink. I had a hot pink bike in the 80s, and I got mugged 2 weeks after Christmas. God damn, he had no heart. And then plug this into the factor, and control shift click that, and now you see we've got that gradient, but too much. This is all going to be yellow, so I'm going to drag this down further, I guess like that, and let's change the pink now to an actual yellowy color. A bit more. If I shift alt Z and turn off my overlay, we can see it better. Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do, kid. That'll do. Plug that into the base color, and then control shift click that, and we're back to the principle. Let's deal with the topology. Shift alt Z to bring back the overlay. So that's too much, unnecessary. So let's decimate it. The decimator. I am the decimator. Was it T1, T800? Oh, I can't remember. Shut up, Nick. Generate decimate, and let's go to 0.1. See what happens. Has it kept its curve? Sure has. Control A. No, that's better. Okay, Alt H, let's bring the leaves back, and let's, it's still using the same material as the stem, so obviously it's, we've got yellow leaves. So we want to select the leaves, make a new material, and we don't need anything. Just, I guess we can, yeah. Now keep the texture coordinate, but delete those. And now it's just Shift Alt Z back to the green leaves. The reason we're keeping this is because we're going to put a bit of bump on it, just to give a bit, a bit of texture to the leaves. So Shift A, texture, noise texture, great for bumps. Shift A, vector mapping, and drop object again into vector, and then vector into vector. Vecna. Oh, Strange Things. It was sick. Not the end of season 5 though. That sucked. Shift A, Shift A color ramp. And let's plop that into there. Control Shift click. Let's just be able to see it a bit better. And then just crank up, not that far. No, don't do that to the scale at all. Put it to 10 for now, because we're going to find which axis to stretch this. Let's try X. Yeah. So I'm just stretching it out, and I'll stretch it out further. Now we can ramp the scale up like that. Cool. And then Shift A, vector bump. Drop that into height. Normal into normal. Control Shift click that. We're unlikely to see much. It's only supposed to be subtle. Maybe not that subtle. Distance 0.05. Whoa. Hell no. Strength. Put that to 0.1. Yeah, there we go. As I say, it's just subtle. But it looks nice. I like. Okay, so let's look at the leaves. Oh, hang on, I haven't got my Shift Alt Z. I need my overlay back on. Yeah, we just want to decimate them as well with a decimator. Come on. Generate, decimate, 0.3. We want some, because you see the further down we go, we get the angles. So if that was 0.1, there'd be lots of jagged angles. It depends how close you want to be to the leaves. But I think a happy medium will be 0.4. Yeah. Control A. Oh, all right. Control A. Yep. Yeah, there we go. Don't think we really need. Do we need that? Yeah, keep that on. Okay. Actually, no. Might have done that the wrong way. Right. Just Control Z back to before we applied the decimator. There we go. So apply the subdivision, put that on 2. Apply that with Control A, and then we've got heavy, so we can definitely decimate maybe 0.2 before we start to see, it could even go further, 0.1. Yeah, I think that works. Control A. Let's have a look. Totally. And now we just need to join these two. So click that, Control, ooh, hold up. Just make a copy. I always leave one copy before I do anything, just in case I need to go back. So grab that, Shift click that, Control J, and now we got one jabbly object. Cool. Now we just want to make the trunk. So same way that we made the trunk, we get the stem, we'll make the trunk. So Shift A, Mesh, Plane. Oh, cancel. I don't know where my origin is. If you can't find your origin, press Shift C, and then it will drop right back. Shift A, Mesh, Plane. It has, however, messed up my zoom. I don't really know why. There we go. And then tab into edit mode, and then merge at center. Remember, mesh, merge at center. And then we want it to be quite large, so I'm just going to extrude directly on the Z, I guess, to there. Select both, subdivide twice, and just, I've still got orthographic on, which is O. Let's do that. I want the top to kind of be, actually no, it doesn't need to be directly vertical. Let's give it a bit of a kink. I'm just going to head into the right view and just make it look more kinky. No, not that. There. Okay. And then we're going to drop on a subdiv, set that to 2, and then apply. And then we want to add a skin, generate skin. I'm going to go into viewport shading for this. Apply that. And then I'm going to X-ray with Alt Z. And I've done that wrong. Don't apply it. Skip, Control Z. I don't know why I said that. Go back to before you deleted it. Right, tab, select the lowest of the low, and then Control A. If proportional is not on, press O. Let's try that again. Where's my, there it is. And I want to get the whole tree. And still to be quite thick at the top. That'll do it, I reckon. That looks cool. Now apply it. Alt Z. And because we're going to put displacement on this, we're probably going to need a bit of quite a bit of geometry. So subdivision surface set to 2. Apply that, and then brush on another one. Set that to 4 for now, I guess. Okay, so let's get the material, Mr. Meeseeks, material. There we are. So click new, and just give it a color to start, something brown. Yeah, that'll do, and just up the roughness. It's going to be bark after all. Then we're going to add Shift A, texture Voronoi, a color ramp, and a texture coordinate. So object to vector, that distance to that, change that to distance to edge, and Control Shift click. Okay, and what we want to do is stretch these on this horizontal x-axis. So Shift A, vector mapping, plot that there, and let's see which one. I'm shift clicking, yeah, X. So I'm going to put X at about 0.04, let's see, and then I'm going to drag the Y down as well. Yeah, totally. I think the scale might be a bit much, so let's go 3. No, 4. That's cool. Okay, and we're using this for displacement and color. So if we add a Shift A, vector displacement, plot that into scale. No, not scale. Silly. Into height, and then displacement into displacement. We will see nothing. Control Shift click. We'll still see nothing because we need to go to material properties and settings, displacement and bump. And we're not going to see much because of the strength. So mid-level, put that at 0, scale 0.8. Oh, bit much, 0.4. 0.3. Actually, the scale. Let me just 5. What's that? A bit of detail might help. Detail 1, and now we can up the strength again, or the scale 0.5. Maybe it's a bit thin. I'm just gonna shift click, but not in this mode. That's not gonna, no, that's fine. I'll just take the scale down to 3. Yeah, and we're gonna use this information for the color as well. So Shift A, just duplicate that, and then put that into there, because we might use the displacement. The way we fiddle with displacement, the colors will be represented in the same fashion. Put the brown that we started with there, and then for now, just a much darker brown there. And let's Control Shift click. And then I'm just going to add a bit more of this lightness, and then plug that in there. Plug that in there. Control Shift click that. Maybe you could do even being a bit brighter. Yeah, that looks like palm tree stuff. Cool. Now we just got to make the bit at the top, which I've aptly called the bit. So Shift A, mesh cube. Plop that up there. Make it a bit bigger. And take the top face and just, oh, hello, I've got proportional on. Press O to get rid of it. Just make that a bit wider at the top, and maybe S, Z. And also apply your scale. So Control A, scale. And we want to put on a subdivision. So forth. And we just, I would like these, I would like it to be round, but at the top and the bottom, I want to see a bit of definition. So Control R, smack one in the middle, and then Control B. I'll just bevel that up a bit, and then put that to 2, and then apply it, and then put another one on, subdivision, 2, 3. The reason, by the way, I'm applying subdivision surfaces and then putting others on is because if I give you an example, Shift A cube, and let's say I've got another one. This one I'm going to subdivide once. Subdivide. This one I'm going to leave unsubdivided. And if you put a subdiv on this one, oh, hello, generate subdiv. See, it's retaining that square shape, especially in the corners. Whereas if I put a subdiv on this one, I've got, it's pretty much a sphere. And it's only when you add more geometry, which I just want at the top and the bottom, it keeps the round shape. But yeah, so that's why I apply subdivision surfaces and then add more. Rotate, I'm just going to rotate that a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to use this same material here, which we haven't named, or I haven't, bark. So select that, go to bark, and then make it a new material. And these two can go back to 1 on the scale. We're going to lower the strength significantly to 0.3. Okay, and also the scale of the thing needs to be much bigger than that. And I'm going to add more white, which is going to push out the geometry more until I get these kind of cracky shapes. And those weird jinky janky things are for 2 reasons. Probably because the strength is still too high, 0.1, 0.2, but also it needs even more geometry. So I'm going to put that up to 5. There we go. Mostly smooth it out. I mean, it depends how close you're getting. Do you know what I mean? I might even leave a little bit more room and give that, it's already got some detail. But I'm also going to spread this out because you can see the lines aren't quite matching. I'm going to remove that randomness a bit, and I'm going to put, using this mapping, I'm going to try and rotate it in a way that satisfies me. There we go. Just so it's kind of kinky. Misuse of the word, maybe. I'm actually going to open that a little bit more. There we go. Do I want that scale, or do I want it bigger or smaller, or 2? No, I want it smaller, 0.6. Nope, not that small. 0.8. Less detail, 0.4. And we're just going to add a bump to that. And it's going to be a classic noise bump. Shift A texture noise. Don't need mapping for this one. Just duplicate that. Reset it. Drop that in there. Control Shift click that. Hello. Move back up a bit. And then doink. That'll do it. That's about 215. And Shift A vector bump. Put that into height. Normal into the normal of the principled, and we're unlikely to see too much, so let's go to the bump node. Distance 0.08, no, 5. I made that sound like that was awful. And then strength 2.5, 0.2, 0.3. That'll do it, I reckon. Yeah, totally. And I might actually just give that a bit of a boost. Maybe the scale is a bit too much. 0.9. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. If a little, let's just, with proportional O on, I'm just going to change, just make it look a little bit less like a clearly symmetrical thing. So I'm just pulling a few points like that, like this and like this. Now it looks like a blob. Okay, and we're just going to simply attach our leaves to the tree, and I'll put a few up, and then I'll speed it up so you don't have to watch me do them all whilst you make your own. So I'm just going to rotate it, and let's put the first one right here. It's easier when you've got 2 windows open. Trust me. That's too high, so is that in? No. There. Okay, that's one. Let's put another one. I'm going to scale this one up slightly. As I say, if you've made more leaves, then you know this is where you'd have a selection of leaves to pick from and Alt-D and duplicate, whatnot, clone, whatever you call it. But we're just using the same leaf. Bring that down because why not? It's good for memory and everything else. So I'm going to put the rest in and then pause it because we've got to make one more material and then we'll get on it. All right, so here we go. Okay, that's done. I'm just going to press S, then Shift Z, because I don't want it to get less height, but I would like it a little less fat, like that. All right, and now what we need to do is take a leaf. Is that one that I've already... Okay, that's the original, so let me just get that out of the way. So just take any old leaf, it doesn't matter. And we're just going to change the material on this one. Shift D for that, by the way, not Alt D. We're not cloning, we're making a new shape, and then make a new material. Shift Alt Z to get rid of the overlay. And where's it there? The bump's still there. Okay. We just want to make this way browner, like that. These are the ones that are going to go underneath, like they're dying or nearly dead. And because this is now one object, the second material for the stem is over in your material properties. And let's just make that one a new material and make this look a bit dead too. That's probably about too similar. Yeah, there we go. Maybe actually the leaves can be a bit more vibrant, even if they are a bit dead. A bit saturation. Okay, and we're just going to scale that down a bit, and then same thing again. We're going to place these underneath the leaves that are the nice luscious green ones, because these are ones that aren't obviously getting as much light. I really should have made the stem longer. My bad. Yeah, so just place these, a bunch of these around the lower scale again, change the angle, whatever you gotta do, change the height, but just put these underneath the ones that are already there. We'll speed mine up and then we'll reconvene. All right, there we go. We're done. I mean, you can add more if you like. Whatever, it's your call. But that's a tidy palm tree, that is. I'm quite happy with how that looks like. It looks lovely. Yeah, I mean, you might, add more leaves. I could probably add more. I don't know if you can hear that plane, so let me pause. But that's the lot. You've built yourself a nice palm tree. In my Infinite Tree Builder package, link in the description, there's a load of palm trees pre-built already gone if you'd rather not make your own. All right, sweet, happy days. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you learned something, and I hope you have fun making many more. I have been Nick, you've been you. I will see you in the next one. Bye.